Well,
Have you ever been to a nude beach?
yes, and
Have you ever been nude on a beach?
Everybody, you're listening to God Spice with Greg and Kirti.
So we are back for another Got Spice
We are.
episode.
I'm a little bit, well, I'm excited. I always love doing this with you.
Oh, I always love doing it with you as well.
But I'm a little bit more excited because we haven't hosted Friends in a really long time.
It has been a little while, and we typically like to host often,
Yes.
but it's been a little on the slower side as of recent.
Yeah, well, we've been really busy with our day job and the Got Spice job.
That is true. It is quite time consuming.
But you know why I'm also excited? It's Super Bowl today.
It is.
And I know nothing about football.
Do you even know who's in the who's in the game?
I think it's something to do with Pennsylvania, like Philly Eagles maybe, and Kansas City something.
Okay, the Chiefs.
Okay.
That's a good start.
And I know there's a brother on each team that they're going to be playing against one another, and the mom likes to bake them cookies
Yes.
after any of them win and bring it to the
So
end.
that brings me to a question for you. You being a mom, what if you were in her position and you had a child on each of the teams? Were you just going to root for the best team wins? Are you going to favor one over the other? How does that work as a mom?
That's well, luckily I don't have that challenge. I don't think it's ever going to happen.
Or would you treat them like the way millennials are treated in this day and age? Is when they come home for dinner after the game, they each get an award.
Well, that's not a millennial thing. There's even Gen Xers we know that were
that's
treated
true.
like that.
Yeah, that's true. There are Gen Xers as well. Yeah,
Coddled.
coddled.
There's a lot of coddled kids in our
Just coddled people in general.
environment.
Even coddled adults.
Yeah, there's coddled adults.
Yeah,
You
absolutely.
have to tell a crappy employee good job, good try,
Yep. Even though the work they produced was subpar.
and I had to do it over.
Yeah, I know. Without them even knowing it, and then all of a sudden they're like, "Wow, I'm really good at this."
Not really.
Not really.
But no, so I'm excited about the Super Bowl, not for the sport, no offense to football. I like no disrespect. It's one of the largest followed games in the US market. I understand the relevance of it. But I'm excited.
As you said, key U.S. market, not global market, U.S.
Yes,
market. Although they are
yes.
trying to expand, right?
Yeah,
Internationally,
they can try.
they can try. We'll
But
see.
I'm excited because it's when I and you put out our spread of yummy food.
Yep, one of our spreads. Yes.
But this is the naughty spread where we totally indulge in
when we eat
fried food.
eat food we otherwise would pretty much rarely to not eat at all.
Exactly.
So
Decadent,
decadent,
unhealthy.
buffalo wings, Italian
Yes.
combo.
Yes.
The,
Well, I don't eat the Italian combo, so we get
no.
eggplant for me.
Yes, eggplant parm.
Yeah.
But still, we'll end up eating more bread and more fried food than we normally would because fried food really isn't part of our
But
diet.
that's why we started our day out with a really healthy meal.
We did just a couple.
We just made an egg.
yeah, a couple eggs. Just make it easy.
While you stirred up and squeezed limes for fresh margarita.
I did. I probably squeezed. What do you think? I squeezed 80 to 100 limes.
Well,
this
the
morning?
one box had 48 limes in it.
Oh, 48. So then plus others. So I squeezed around 60 limes today.
Yeah. I think the
To
margs
make-
will be good.
Yeah.
Well, actually, don't we have?
Gorgeous picture of
I think.
margaritas.
Did you make me a marg for us right now?
I did. It's sitting right there. Would you?
Can I try it?
Of course you can.
Oh, I'm gonna try it.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Rock and roll.
Happy.
Happy.
We're pre-gaming.
Yeah, pre-gaming, pre-Super Bowl. I'm looking forward to that queso that you started sautéing up all the ingredients.
Well,
which is then going to make
you are
its
an
way
amazing
into
sous chef.
a bechamel. Oh,
Yes.
thank
well,
you.
We can't share the secret of how I make my queso.
Oh, I'm not going to share it. How many people are
You
going
already
to?
revealed bechamel.
Yeah, but how many people are going to go make a bechamel and know exactly what's in there?
Yeah.
No one. And so, but thank you for the compliment. On my sous chefing skills. Yes.
Well, I hate chopping because I have that missing cartilage issue in my hand because I'm like Raggedy Ann.
And I chopped really quite quickly.
And you were super freaking fast.
Yep.
See, I'll cook a lot more if you chop a lot more.
From my days of working for my cousin and other caterers when
Is
I was
this
a kid.
Avery?
Avery, yeah. I used to sous chef a lot, so I learned how to professionally cut, which makes a big difference. Because one,
does.
it saves your fingers from being cut and how you manage knives.
That's true.
teaches you how to take care of knives so they're nice and sharp. Because one thing I'll say about
Did you sous chef naked? Like you asked my sister when she was on our show recently.
I-
So do you cut things naked?
I was partially naked this morning when I was sous chefing.
That's not something. No, you were not naked.
No,
you had on
partially.
shorts and a t-shirt.
It wasn't short. I had boxers on. I was in boxers and a t-shirt. And the only reason why I wore a t-shirt,
Our friends may not want to eat our food if they find this out.
they may not want to, or it'll like end up selling out globally.
Shut up! You're ridiculous.
Made with love.
Oh God. So #gross. You could be so gross.
You know me in the summertime. I'll cook basically pretty much
You're
naked.
in your
so
swim trunks.
Sort of, yes. Yes, I am in swim trunks.
You're in swim trunks.
I'm in swim trunks.
You have too many older siblings hanging around.
Yeah, that's true.
All right.
Just to be in my birthday suit.
Yeah. A little.
But that's
yeah.
my favorite suit. My favorite suit's my birthday suit. If I could just walk around naked all day, every day, as you know, I absolutely would.
Yeah, I'm not
Mm.
comfortable like that.
I am. I'm comfortable in my skin.
Maybe you could join that nudist
A nudist colony.
colony like we saw in the movie last night.
That's a great.
Yeah, you'll be going
great
there
idea.
alone.
You know why? Wait, what? Why?
Because there's no way I would be in that
We should
colony.
totally go on vacation to a nudist colony one
Hell
time.
no.
My only issue with nudist colonies is that the way that they're depicted in every single movie we've ever seen, you have the star of the movie. I think what was it? Jennifer Aniston was in one with, was that Paul Rudd or someone?
Yes.
In one of those movies, they end up at this semi-nudist colony retreat exploratory type place.
Yeah, it just seems #gross to me.
Yeah, and the problem that I have is the stars of the movie, who are the good-looking ones, are the only good-looking ones. Everyone else in that movie,
Was
in the
hitty.
nudist colony,
They were hitty.
They're always hitty. They always have horrible bodies. It's like nude beaches.
Well,
have you ever been to a nude beach?
Yes, and
Have you ever
know,
been nude on a beach?
You know,
I have. So I've gone to nude beaches and been completely buck naked on beaches. It is not an experience
no, you know why I didn't
that
go naked?
I promote, because people on nude beaches are not the attractive looking people,
No,
except for myself.
Here's my
of course.
theory. Here's my theory. And you may be an anomaly because you're actually a handsome man.
Oh, thank you.
I mean, I wouldn't be with
And
an
you're a
ug-
gorgeous girl.
I mean, I wouldn't be with an ugly dude.
That's true. There'd be no reason to be with an ugly dude.
Like I've never been with an ugly
Well,
dude.
I could come up with reasons because, in theory, it should be the beauty should be inner beauty, and it could be the mind. It could be other appendages that are beautifully large in size that you're like, ooh, which will then sacrifice the quality of the looks of the other exterior elements.
I have a theory.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, you're obviously an attractive man who says he likes to be in his birthday suit
I do.
and go to
Thank
a
you.
nudist colony.
And you're a gorgeous girl.
Well, thank you, but I'm not interested in nudist colonies for this reason.
Mm-hmm.
I think the people that actually choose to exhibit their body tends to be not the best looking people.
Whoa. I don't know if I can agree with you on that.
And
because
this
look
is
at
why
me. As
I
you said,
have-
maybe I'm the anomaly.
Yeah, that's like 1 in a million. Because just to your point, I have been in Europe or different places, even South Beach. You don't even have to go that far. The people who take advantage of the nude business, they fugly.
Yeah, they're often not the most attractive
Scary
individuals.
looking. And the
It's-
dudes that go around showing their banana,
So remember that episode that we
those
had
are
a couple
baby
times
bananas.
ago? We were talking
those
about
are
Cialis.
those Chiquita bananas. They're
Oh,
teeny.
yeah. Remember we were talking about like Cialis, the little blue pill, like all these different things. I feel like when you go to a nudist colony and you see the people that are there, nothing is going to help.
No,
Nothing is gonna
Ain't nothing gonna help
ain't
that.
nothing gonna help. Yeah, but one thing I will say about being naked, I love skinny dipping. Skinny dipping is probably like one of the most
didn't your mom
freeing.
skinny dip? You said.
Yeah, she used to, before going to bed each night and during the summer, she would go quickly skinny dip in the pool and kind of cool down and then, go to bed. Yeah, that was her routine. Yeah, she like keep the lights off in the backyard. She's like,
very
don't come out here.
Very
Yeah.
modern of your mother.
Yeah, we're talking 30 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah, a long.
But you guys have neighbors that could have seen.
We do, but that's why it was all about keeping the lights off. Just keep the lights off in the backyard. And the neighbors are far enough away. And don't forget, we had hemlocks at the time, which blocked a view of, one neighbor. And then our other neighbors, there was always like trees and things. Because, obviously our place in Connecticut. You call it the cabin in the woods, but it's more than a cabin. It's a house. But it's our woods retreat versus a New York City
for a Manhattan
apartment.
city girl,
Yeah.
I feel like I'm going out to like a cute house, like a cottage in the woods.
Oh, that's right. Not a cabin, a cottage.
I call it a cottage, and you're
Yes.
like, that's not a cottage. I'm like, it's a giant cottage, and it's got a
Our
fire
chalet.
pit. Yeah, like, that's my perspective. And then we go to my parents' house. It's like going to the Four Seasons in Staten Island.
That's true. Two completely different,
Because they're on the
vibes. And they're on the
ocean.
ocean there.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're in the woods. I'm chopping wood. We're lighting off fireworks. We are having massive bonfires. And then we go to your parents' place and we're looking at seagulls and the ocean tides.
Yes.
Yes.
And then we got mom's cooking.
Yes. Yeah, that's one thing I do miss is my mother's. We would have my mother's cooking if my mother was still alive. Instead, you get, the Gregory's cooking
Yes.
and the Kirti's cooking as well.
Yes, I helped too there.
Yes.
I do. Super Bowl. Favorite food. What's your favorite food to eat?
For the Super Bowl, there isn't really a favorite food.
Oh, I know your favorite food. I can't believe you're just not saying it.
What? Wings?
Yeah.
I do enjoy buffalo wings. Extra spicy. Smoking hot wings with extra blue cheese is an absolute go-to. I should have actually said that that's my favorite, but at the same time, I have in my head this Italian combo that we ordered for today.
You like Italian combos no matter
do.
what.
Well,
That's not a Super Bowl food for you.
So it's funny. In our last episode, we're talking how little meat, right, that we eat, really, and even for me, I barely eat meat, that when I have an Italian combo, I look forward to it because it's not something I eat often, and then my body pays for it for like the next 3 days,
Yeah.
which is unfortunate.
I know it is. It impacts me too when you're paying for it for 3 days.
Oh, really? How does it impact you?
Because you're just like a grumpy old Italian man.
What do you mean a grumpy old Italian man?
You're like,
If
nah.
anything, you should be like, I love it when you do Italian combos. You get manly.
No.
And you have energy.
Not really.
And then we spent
You become-
hours
you
doing
become-
the dirty.
No, you become lethargic and you
that's-
lay like Cleopatra on your side.
I love laying like Cleopatra.
And I'm like, ugh, this is like combo man.
Yeah. Well, if you think about it, as I have said in the past, we, we're from Egyptian times. A
but
prince
I
and
think
princess who
I'm
died
supposed to
prematurely.
be Cleopatra, not you, honey.
Well, I'm Tutankhamun, right? King Tut, right? So I'm lying in my own Tutankhamun sort of way. Yeah, that's how I roll.
I see. I see. I don't really imagine myself as a former famous character.
No.
I just don't see it.
Oh, I never said we were King Tut and Cleopatra.
Oh.
We were royalty.
a version of them.
No, we were a neighboring village.
These are big dreams.
It's not dreams.
Well, it's
history.
sort of, but you know what? Is it also very akin to?
Haven't
what's
you seen? You've seen it written in the scriptures.
Ha.
The similarity to what has been scribed. Like if you look at the way that symbols have been written over time, there's a distinct correlation to the way that we look and what was once depicted as rulers in Egypt.
Oh,
Yeah, absolutely.
interesting.
Yeah. Scholars talk about it all the time.
So speaking of how people look, it's been award season on TV for like music and acting and all these things. And I have to say, like, the award shows are sort of like a bit boring. I don't find
I find them always boring.
patience to like watch them.
Well, the Grammys are what, like 3.5 hours long?
But I like the recaps. And I like to read articles, from them.
Like
just
the cliff
to-
notes, yeah.
the
Paraphrase
Cliff Notes.
it.
Yeah. I'm really, really disappointed in some famous, iconic celebrities kind of just trying to look like something else to the point they kind of look alien.
Oh, I know exactly who you're talking about.
Yeah.
It's someone that you used to adore as a child,
Like,
right?
all my childhood.
Yeah, she was influential to you.
Yeah,
She was a trailblazer.
absolutely.
She drove industry.
Until she went from leader to just super fast follower.
I agree with you. I feel like she became a follower.
I mean, we're talking about Madonna. It's okay.
yeah.
There were enough
MDMA.
articles, about her.
Well, the follower, to me, it's not the plastic surgery that is making her a
Oh,
follower.
you mean the fact that her entire face looks like an alien?
Oh, she does. But to me, I know we were talking about this earlier, and that doesn't bother me. Because one thing about Madonna is she's always pushed the envelope. She's always changed the way she looks. Yes, she was an icon back in the 80s and someone
even the
who
early
defined,
90s,
and through the 90s,
Yeah.
100%. But I was just thinking about when she first came out,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
No one had ever seen someone
The rejected singer
like
who was
her,
really a dancer.
other than maybe like
Yeah.
Marilyn Monroe's scandalous type activity, which took place back in the 60s. She helped drive. I feel she helped empower women. I feel that she helped drive industry, and she pushed the boundaries in the envelope and challenged status quo. It was awesome. And now her getting plastic surgery really doesn't. I know it bothers you. It does not bother me because why not? She has the resources. She wanted to do it. Let her do it. Why judge her? You're being judgy.
Because I don't want to see that giant ass alien face on a stage screen now when she's in concert here at MSG, and it makes me
Well, then
really
don't
sad.
look at it. Then close your eyes and just listen to the music.
No, because her vocals aren't that good to actually enjoy it. It was about the entire.
Her vocals are fine,
It's
and
about
she's a
the
dancer.
entire
She is.
visage,
She's
you
first a
know?
dancer that became an artist, right? A singer, and then obviously, she blew up. What bothers me is probably 15 years ago, where I felt that she was no longer a trailblazer and she was just trying to latch on to trends. Mm-hmm. Almost kind of like the trends on TikTok, where people are just trying to latch on to quick trends to capture audience.
I will tell you exactly when Madonna stopped leading and she became a copycat / follower. It's back in 2000, the early 2000s, when she kind of won one of the records of the year or whatever. But then shortly right after, it was really Britney Spears who won record after record of the year. And she then started to switch.
One record after record of the year?
You know what I
what's that?
mean? She,
No, I don't know
year
what
after
you mean.
year, she won record of the
Okay.
album of the year,
Oh,
whatever it's
sure.
called.
Yep.
And
Well, those are two different record of the year and album
Well,
of the year.
you know what I
most
mean.
people don't
Whatever
realize
that
what the difference
category
is.
is.
They're two different categories, yes.
But essentially, my point is Madonna was winning.
Mm-hmm.
Then Britney Spears came in, won, consecutively year after year.
Mm-hmm.
And then suddenly Madonna looked like she got a little work done.
Mm-hmm.
And she decided to also sort of dress like Britney Spears
I remember
and make
that.
music like her.
Didn't she also try to rock some braided dreads at one
Yes.
time, and she had gold fronts on her teeth?
Yes.
And she tried to capitalize on
It's
the
so
hip hop
weird.
movement.
It's so weird.
It-
It's
to me,
trying
it was-
so hard.
It was. I agree.
Dude, she's my mom's age.
She went from leading culture and leading industry to then following other influencers to try to keep up.
Yeah.
I think that's, to me, is what's sad.
Well, I think what she's
she went from
I
leading
think,
to trying to keep up.
Well, I think my issue is I think at some point I felt like she was a bit of a feminist, right? She was owning herself and allowing herself to just be who she wants to. Somewhere along her journey, I feel that she's actually not a feminist. She's the opposite of what I want a woman to do, which is selling your sexuality in order to just gain attention. We're so much more than that. We've got intellect. We've got other things going for us.
I agree. And she has...
And she does too. She didn't have to lean into that so much.
But if you look at her... So with Madonna, in the 80s, she was criticized because she came to New York, basically was homeless, lived kind of in the music building, which was a building where people rehearsed, and some people just kind of randomly just lived there, and it wasn't living conditions, right? And she was here to make it. She was part of the whole danceteria crowd. She wanted to be a vocalist. The music industry did not respect her as a vocalist at all because she's a dancer.
Yeah.
Then she dropped her album, came out with Desperately Seeking Susan, and then she performed at the MTV Music Awards. And if I recall correctly, while at the awards, she had a true wardrobe malfunction, which is then why she ended up rolling on the floor, which was controversial during Like a Virgin, and that's what blew her up overnight. Right?
Yeah.
And ever since then, it's almost like she found what the model was, which was, how do I elicit a reaction from people, and that will help to continue to bring me stardom. And look at what she did with Like a Prayer, where she had a black Jesus. And just at that time, was it Pepsi who had just, talking about influencer marketing back then in the early 90s. And I think they had cut, I think it was like a $37 million deal. And within the next week, she dropped that video. And Pepsi was like, oh my God, what
They
do
were
they
like
do?
negative.
But they still had to pay her the money.
Yeah.
So she still, I believe, walked away with a large chunk of that money. Then they wanted to disassociate themselves with her.
Right.
Because so when it comes to art and artists, my opinion on this. I always come back to a quote from Rob Zombie, who is the leader of the band White Zombie, but he's also a movie director, has done Halloween and all these other movies. And even the crappy one we just couldn't even get through, which was the Munsters movie, which was horrible because I enjoyed watching the Munsters TV show as a kid, and he just destroyed it. Personally, sorry, Rob. And I just remember a quote from him: "Art isn't safe. It's not. And it's not designed to be safe, and it's designed to challenge." And so I feel she was able to capitalize that, but then she was also able to take not femininity, but empowerment of women to touch on subjects that otherwise wouldn't be talked about with Papa Don't Preach.
Right.
Right? So teenage pregnancy.
Right.
So she was almost the
But you're
voice
talking
for
about
women.
the years that Madonna was like relevant.
Oh,
in my opinion.
100%. I think that she helped bring confidence to women to have conversations that women or females otherwise wouldn't maybe feel as able or strong to have those types of conversations, because she helped to break down those barriers.
Yeah. Yeah. I think she was a great influence on probably a lot of other celebrities
Oh, 100%.
today.
I mean, he's a
like-
musician, an influence on
Well,
me.
look, you know why I'm excited about today's Super Bowl.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
My most favorite,
Miss Fenty
in
herself.
my opinion. Also, one of the
Riri.
world's only self-made billionaire when you look at pop art artists.
But not even from her music, from her
It's from her business.
from her clothing and her makeup
from her
lines.
makeup and clothing and skincare lines.
It's that
But
Savage X and then her Fenty line.
Savage,
X.
X, Fenty. Actually, most of the makeup on my face,
Is
I use Fenty.
Fenty.
But my thing is, she's cool because she did push the envelope in her own way and stood for things that mattered to her. But she's
I
still,
agree.
and she's still sexy and
100%.
whatever. But she's not vulgar, and I think that's where I draw the line in some of these artists. It's okay to push the envelope because I in my own little world of being a corporate nerd am an envelope pusher, so I understand pushing the envelope.
Yep,
But I
agree.
think there's a invisible line that once you cross it, you're just freaking weird. And I think that's what Madonna's crossed lately.
Well, one is, so there are two different kinds of artists. One, she's Bayesian, right? And a little bit more, I hate to say put together, but maybe a little more classy and sexy and sensual. And Madonna, as much as I love Madonna, she puts on a killer live show. I've seen her live twice. I grew up being influenced by her music and the musicianship, and drums. Always had just great music. But her persona is a little trash.
Yeah, she's total.
But it's that persona which I think opened up her ability to be who she was, because she was uninhibited. She just owned it. And back then, women were sultry back then. I feel like in the 80s, you had Lita Ford, you had Heart, you had these women trying to be sultry, but not sexy. Rihanna comes out and she exudes sex, but in a classy, kind of cool, chic way.
Right.
And
I would say Beyonce has that too. That she's doesn't come across slutty.
I agree.
Look at her
agree.
album cover, even the new one. She
Renaissance.
barely
Has
has any
anything on.
clothes on. But then you're like, wait, it's like an art.
But yet, she doesn't bother you. Isn't she full of plastic now? Doesn't she have a BBL?
She did
breast
get
augmentation.
well, look, here's my thing.
I mean, she just
She
completely
still
revamped.
She looks like Beyonce still. I think my issue is, and by the way, who knows? I may end up getting plastic work in
She's
10
also
years.
20
I don't
years
know.
younger than Madonna. Who knows what she's going to do in 20
But
years?
Madonna started getting it done at in my age. That's the difference.
And Beyonce is your age, and so she's starting it. So maybe in 20 years, she might look like an alien too.
I'm just saying, don't alienify yourself.
Yeah.
Actually, Jay-Z's become like more sophisticated looking. He's like dapper if you look at his style.
Well,
now.
they were just the faces of Tiffany, right? In their evening wear, evening gown, and his tuxedos.
But so speaking of
I've got mad
awards,
respect for both of them.
I mean, Beyonce, pretty impressive. She's one of the only music artists to have won more than 1,000 awards
That's pretty incredible.
in a really short time span, by the way. That is freaking amazing.
Well, she worked really hard, right? So Beyonce is, another artist I have a lot of respect for. Grew up, it was purported that her father used to have her run miles while singing to build stamina so you could be on stage dancing and singing without your voice wavering, right? So you have to build.
No, it's hard.
It's hard, right?
When
You're a
you've
singer.
when you've made me dance and sing, I'm like,
I have.
what the F, Greg? I'm not trained like Beyonce.
Well, you're being trained like the Gregory is training the Kirti.
The only time I sang and danced was like the Broadway show type of stage performances I've done, which are very
that's
different.
That's like there's no business like show business.
It's like, no, Nanette. It's like, no.
Let it go. Let it go.
But yeah, no, she's amazing in concert. I'm putting out another announcement. Beyonce, if you want to invite us to your show, we would love to be
Yeah, we'd love to be there.
We'd love to be there.
Absolutely.
And we can do a Got Spice from backstage.
Absolutely.
It'll be so amazing.
We can talk about how spicy she is.
She is spicy.
Yeah, her and Jay-Z. Spicy. And even back to Rihanna, I mean, her shows are,
So
we've
good.
seen her a couple times live together,
Yes.
once at Barclays and then once at Global Citizen.
And I've also seen her at Prue Center.
Oh, you saw her at Prue Center as well. And so she just puts on we've talked about this too. What we loved about the Rihanna shows, and we're not dissing any artist that decides to sing a song, go back for a wardrobe change, and come back out.
Everyone has their own style.
Yeah, everyone has their own style. But we've discussed this where she comes out.
She came out for an hour and 45 minutes.
Oh, was it an hour and 45? So it's just straight, just like a rock band comes out, no break, no
just
nothing.
keeps going,
just
moving
keeps going, no costume change. And it reminds me of an artist that I worked with years ago. We're talking now probably like 30 years ago. Roger and
When you were 12?
When I was 12. Exactly when I was 12. Maybe more like 25 years ago.
Was I born yet?
According to your astrological signs and your date of birth, apparently you were just born like 3 years ago, so probably not.
See?
You're just like, you're Mork from Ork, where instead of
I am forever
getting
40
older,
something.
you started at an older age and you continue
So
getting
I'm like
younger.
Benjamin Button.
Oh yes, kind of the same thing. Yeah, kind of the same thing as if anyone remembers. Remember that show, Mork and Mindy? Though that's
Yes,
Mork from Ork.
yes.
That's how I think they were born out of an egg too, a large
Again,
egg.
I don't think I was born yet.
Yeah, you might
from
not
Mork
have
and
been.
Mindy.
Yeah, actually, you were born at that time too. You talk about 80s shows, like some of them that you're mentioning, that I'm like, that's a white trash show. Oh yeah, but my family, we used to love that show.
No, not my family. It was just me and my dad.
Oh, you and your dad. Okay, that makes sense. But now,
And then we saw In Living Color afterwards, so don't even make fun of it.
In Living Color was a great show.
Yeah, so
that's talking another artist, J-Lo.
Yeah,
Jennifer
super
Lopez, back. She was a fly girl in Living Color.
That woman is
right.
She's
where
she's like fine wine. As she
ended up
gets
getting-
older, she just looks better.
Yeah, but what were we just reading recently, where she might look better as she gets older, but her personality becomes a lot more rugged and rough and nasty.
I don't know. I can't tell if like other female celebrities are just jelly.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure. I don't know
It's
her
only
personally.
it's
so.
like it's some random story that came up on Facebook, and it's like how other top celebrities feel about J-Lo. And then it was all these people talking about how she ignored them, or she doesn't remember hanging out with them, or all this like.
So they're all jelly.
So I'm kind of like, were they just jealous, or I don't know, a girl from the Bronx who becomes a big like superstar? It's just not very New York to like be rude like that. We're depicted as rude people, but we really aren't.
So I agree with you. And I've had conversations multiple times with different people about being in New York, where people may think we're rude. It's not a matter of that we're rude. It's when you're asking us maybe for direct, like we're talking pre-COVID when the city moved really quite quickly and we were always on the go, where someone may stop you and ask you for directions, but you're already like running late probably for a meeting and you're just focused on where you're going, or you may have headphones in and you're just kind of doing your thing. And then we come across as rude because maybe we were short with the individual and said, okay, just kind of go down the street, go there, go to 42nd and 3rd, blah, 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 blah. Boom, boom, done.
Also,
and so,
it's called Google Maps.
yeah. And we're not sitting there taking
Like,
10 minutes to have a conversation, get
Do
to
you
know
know
the
I've
person.
never, ever stopped someone to ask him where to go? Even like before iPhones and map location, like location got more sophisticated.
Oh, is that because you always had like a helicopter like following you with GPS saying,
You know,
Kirti Nike, you must make a left now. You can make a right now. Because you grew up all like spoiled and shit?
no, I just followed the sun.
Oh, really?
I have internal built compass.
Then why, when following the sun or when we're outside, sometimes we could be in the woods somewhere. Oh, which way is west? If you're following the sun, you exactly know where to go.
That's not true, and I've never been in the woods with you.
Oh, what are you talking about? Of course you have. Connecticut, that's the woods according
That
to you.
is not.
Or what about when we go to Todd's Point? That's the woods.
I have not been in the woods with you. This is total blasphemy.
Blasphemy. What are you talking about?
You and your malarkey.
Zero malarkey on this side.
100%
Zero malarkey.
You are.
Why are you taking my word? You know I love that word.
That is actually my word.
That's not your word.
That is my word.
I don't see your name written next to it in the dictionary.
It,
Go to a dictionary, you'll see my name written
that's
right next to
because
it.
your name is written next to it.
Exactly.
See? My
Greg's
point.
word, malarkey.
See?
Who's the only one allowed to
Malarkey,
use that word?
Definition: Gregory Yates.
Oh, that is so not
That's
true.
what you mean by that.
Oh, no, that's not what I mean by that.
Then what do you mean by your name next
I
to it?
trademarked the
Why
word.
would you want
I
your name?
trademarked the word.
You don't trademark words.
Of course you do. People, what do you think names of companies are? Hello, words, and those are trademarked. Hello, Mahala. Yeah,
You're
right.
twisting this conversation.
I'm not twisting anything.
You always twist
You're
shit.
just full of malarkey. You're
You're
just,
a twister.
No, a twister? What are you talking about? Like Twisted Sister? Another band. Actually, wasn't Twisted Sister discovered by, was it Bon Jovi? Or Dee Snider was brought to Bon Jovi? And was Kiss, I'm trying to think if Kiss was involved in finding Twisted Sister. I'm trying to remember that story, but that's another band back from the 80s that had some big hits. Oh, and Twisted Sister, they've done a great job at, I'd say, retaining their audience, and they came out with a Twisted Christmas where they took all of their songs and then put Christmas lyrics on top of them. So it's like, we're not gonna take it, no, into like, Santa Claus is coming to town. I forget exactly how they did it, but they did it really well. Where
They
it
sound
worked.
twisted.
Yeah, they twisted everything. Actually, one thing about Dee Snider, people look at him like he's this, crazy, rock star, probably drug addict, unintelligent. I feel like, often rock stars get a bad rap, and I can see why for different reasons. But he's, an intelligent guy who was really kind of behind trying to defend music when Tipper Gore brought the industry to court and formed, the PMRC, Parents Music Resource Center, to censor albums and CDs at the time, to put little labels on there,
I
right?
remember that, yeah.
So he was one of the advocates that fought in court and articulated why he felt that it should not be censored. And unfortunately, the music industry ended up losing for, whatever reason. But the artists afterwards, once that little sticker was put on their albums, they said it was like a blessing in disguise, because all of a sudden, all these artists' album sales, like at the time CDs, just skyrocketed. Once you had an explicit sticker on your album, everyone wanted to buy it. All the kids wanted it.
Well, it's about wanting what you are not allowed to have.
What you can't have, yes.
It's so interesting when I look at probably you growing up and the music influences you have, because I didn't grow up with just American music. My parents really, they listened to obviously the radio and to Madonna and all these different pop artists. And mom definitely loved her KC 101 or 93.1 soft jam.
Especially with like Casey. This is Casey Kasem.
Yes.
And you're listening to Top 40 Radio.
Yes, exactly. But at the same time, I also grew up listening to a ton of Bollywood music. So a lot of times when you ask me, do you remember this song or do you remember this artist? I'm like, I don't know, maybe. But then because in my head, I have a lot of also jumbled up music content that is also so much of like my upbringing and watching Bollywood movies and listening to Bollywood music, and also singing Bollywood music.
Well, as you know, for me, as someone who loved music his entire life, and where I always found ways to be exposed, and even in school, I took music theory, different forms of music theory, music history, and so I always loved music from other cultures. Because here in the States, we have an 8-note scale, which is, in theory, limiting when you compare it to a 12 or a 16-note scale, in which other countries, India, other places in the Middle East, may utilize. So you have these different timbres and different sequences and different phrasings and
I think
different tones.
It multiplies
which is
the number
interesting.
of the chord variations.
Correct. And the only thing like here, what's closest to it would be probably like jazz, right? Where you can play like an Aeolian scale or different forms of scales that are different than traditional pop music. And so growing up, I loved listening to different styles of music, but what's funny is when we talk, I may reference a song. You're like, oh my God, I know that song and love it too. In fact, my mom does. And when I took you and a whole group of people, we all went to Pier 17 to see Yacht Rock Review.
Oh, yes.
I had to live film, or I filmed and sent it to your mom. Whenever I listen to Yacht Rock, and most people are like, well, what's Yacht Rock? It's, Christopher Cross, it's Looking Glass, it's all these old school bands like Brandy, you're a fine girl, you're fine, what a good girl you must be. Like those songs.
Yep.
And
it was that soft rock station.
Soft rock. And it brings me back to my father driving our family station wagon that only had AM radio in it.
Oh.
Do you remember that?
A car with only AM radio?
Yeah, you might not have been born.
Also, wait, my dad's hobby is really nice cars.
Yeah, he does, yeah.
I don't know if my father would have accepted a vehicle with only AM
But
radio.
that's all they had back in the day. It was like AM radio. But that's where rock and roll was on AM radio.
No, this sounds wrong. I don't remember AM radio. AM radio was the news.
Talking AM radio, on the other side, which is controversial, is back in the 50s.
Did you just say controversial
Yeah.
instead of controversial?
Yeah, that's how I speak.
Where did you learn English?
In America.
Just like you don't know how to say the word caramel.
I don't say caramel.
No, you say caramel.
I say it different ways.
Where did you learn English?
I just told you I learned it here in the United States of America.
Right.
When you have the intelligence that I have and the word selection that I choose at any given moment, I may decide to emphasize words or enunciate words differently than an average individual, because there's a complex nature to deconstructing a word and putting it back together and telling a story with it.
Okay. Again, that's why I call you Malarkey. I'm going to just rename you Gregory Malarkey Yates.
You hurt my feelings.
I love
You're
you.
a bully.
I know.
You're bullying me.
It's okay.
Once again, I'm being bullied.
You know what? It's okay.
Did you say you love me?
I do love you.
Okay. I love you too.
It's why I bully you. It's good for you.
Yeah. I don't
Who do I sound
think
like?
so.
Who do I sound like? It's good for you.
It's good for you. Oh, see, look, once again, pulling lines from my book. Yeah. It's a good thing you've read it.
Don't dish them out if you can't handle it.
Oh, I can handle it. I'm just glad that you've memorized. Not in my playbook is like this big, because it's like, it's almost like Stephen King's It, right? 1,000+ pages long of ways that people can better themselves, written by Gregory Yates.
Interesting.
And I'm glad that you have taken pages from that book and you apply them to everyday scenarios. That warms my heart, and that shows how much you really love me.
The way I am dishing your own lines back at you, you don't even realize that I'm subliminally controlling you and even how you think and what you desire to eat and want.
That's what you think, but I'm already 3 steps ahead of you. That you think you're coming up with this. I've already programmed you to say what you're saying.
Did you just say programmed me?
Yeah.
We are going to, after this episode, we're going to take a course on speaking English words, Greg.
What? What's wrong with it? I said programmed you.
You said programmed.
Why are you making fun of the way I'm enunciating words?
Because it's like you're not from like the tri-state area, dude.
What? Because I don't have I don't have like a Staten Island accent.
I don't even have a Staten Island
Of course you do. You just had one right now. Look at it. Listen to yourself.
I do not.
Yes, see, I do not. You sound like John Travolta from Saturday Night Fever. Yeah, I thought so. I thought so.
I think you're off.
No,
Way off.
no, you're off base. Back to controversial.
Controversial.
Controversy. Talking about Prince, another great artist. He was just rated, what, #1 Super Bowl performer of all time.
Yeah. Well, excuse me. Who did you get that Billboard rating? That's a Billboard rating of the best halftime shows ever. And Prince is #1.
I love Prince. I'd have to see
Guess
each
where
of
I
them.
found this list?
Oh, where did you find it?
Because I follow Snoop Dogg.
Oh. Were they #3 on the list, I think?
the Snoop Dogg,
Yeah,
Dr.
Dr.
Dre,
Dre.
Mary J. Blige, which a lot of people were critical of it last year. I actually thought, except for the design only tailoring to one side of the stadium. Otherwise,
I agree.
It was a phenomenal show with a ton of music content.
Well, after that, I mean, throughout the course of the year, we've put that on several times to watch it.
Yeah.
To me, it's a wonderful show. If you haven't seen it, it's totally worth seeing, but you've probably seen it. What we're talking about is the staging was really set up for just one side. If you were behind the other side, that's the flaw. It needed to be an open concept, so I think the whole stadium could see the show, but a tremendous show.
Is on the list. Lady Gaga.
Madonna's on there. Bruce Springsteen's on there.
I was surprised that Katy Perry was on the list. Her show wasn't that great.
Was she on there? I
Except
don't remember.
I can think because she walked in on her giant fake elephant, like a tiger. Like I remember her whole jungle song.
One who wasn't on the list, I believe,
J-Lo.
J-Lo.
I felt that was wrong.
Yeah. With Shakira, I like the way Shakira came out. She's playing drums. She was singing. She was dancing.
A great show.
I thought it was a great show. Was The Weeknd on? No, Weeknd wasn't on there either.
I thought Weeknd was on there.
Was he on there?
I think so.
Yeah. He dropped I think he put $7 million of his own money into that show.
Well, he saw it as an investment.
Last year, I believe Dr. Dre put it around $7 million into it as well. But if you think about shows that we play, even when we played charity shows, we put our own money into it to make the show better than if we had not. We wanted to make it as best, as good as it could possibly be. So we put our own money into it. But this is what I keep coming back to trying to talk about is a controversial topic is talking about AM radio. And another artist, when we were watching the movie recently, Elvis. And I remember learning about Elvis. When I say learning about his true history years ago from a gentleman from the industry who was a big Elvis fan, that sort of an insider that kind of really knew kind of the inner workings of his entourage and the Colonel and everyone like that. And then also as part of music history in school that I had taken, learned about really the different cultures of Black music and other cultural music, and how at one point back in the 50s and I think 60s still, but definitely the 50s, where you had white music stations, Black music stations, and Elvis was the first white artist to be played on a Black radio station.
Yeah, the depth of his voice.
People thought he was Black.
Yep.
And he was a white dude.
But he learned how to sing from Black,
gospel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Black gospel
From
singers.
being influenced by gospel singers in churches.
Yeah. Wasn't B.B. King his childhood friend or something like that?
Oh, he might have been B.B. King. Yeah.
I think he was.
Oh, he was actually, yes. Yeah. And some of the other greats from back then.
And
an era of music.
The other guy, Little Richie, I think.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
It's amazing how many fabulous singers came out of those flyover states.
And also,
Gregory,
your theme.
my most unfavorite holiday is coming up.
Unfavorite holiday?
Yeah.
Why is it an unfavorite? Talking in appropriate language. Where did you grow up? Unfavorite? What is unfavorite?
You know what? I actually am very famous for making up words.
How about my least favorite?
No, it's
Why don't you speak
unfavorite.
grammatically correct? Unfavorite.
It's like not a favorite, so it's an unfavorite.
Yeah, that really just doesn't
It makes total sense.
It makes zero sense.
Way more efficient.
You just sound ignorant. You should just start using words like ain't.
I don't speak like that.
Yeah, you do. You just used it earlier in our podcast. You're like ain't.
I was
I
was imitating slang.
Unfavorite is like using ain't.
You complain that I have too many when you're editing our podcast, and now you're telling me I speak slang.
Yeah, because when I hear you talk and you have a hard time articulating the English language, that's all I hear. You sound like you're grunting. And meanwhile, you think you're speaking and articulating some sort of coherent dialogue. And I'm like, babe, you have to repeat that because I did not get it. It reminds me of Peanuts and Charlie Brown when you like hear the teachers. Wah, 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 wah,
Are you done
Am I done with what?
poisoning my ear with all that noise?
Poisoning. I'm schooling you and trying to educate you.
You don't even know how to say proper English words. I'm allowed to make up words.
This is a public forum. I'm trying to make you sound intelligent.
I'm trying to help you just speak English.
You know what? I'm trying to help you assimilate
You can't
into
tell
society.
somebody who makes up actual words that they can't make it up.
What?
You can't tell me when I make up a new word in the English vocabulary.
Wait, you tell me I make up words?
No, I'm telling you, you don't know how to speak established
What
words.
are you talking about? I speak established words. You're the one that's making things up because you don't even know what proper words are.
The number of times that my daughter and I have to be like, Greg, did you just say that word?
I have a word for you. Do you know what this word means? Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious.
All right, Mary Poppins.
Okay.
That
Even though
makes
the
you
sound
so
of it is
cool.
really quite atrocious.
What the hell?
But if you say it loud enough, you'll really sound precocious.
Oh my goodness.
Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious.
This is not a Disney podcast.
Oh my Lord.
Let's not go to Disney.
We're not going to. You're the one that just brought up Disney. I'm just trying to help educate you.
I'm trying to tell you about my unfavorite holiday.
I'm just trying to help you expand your horizons here. Okay, let's hear about the unfavorite holiday.
So since I was 10, 12, when schools would do like the stupid lovegrams and the give a rose nonsense.
I remember that. And we had those little like cards that you kind of fill in.
Yeah. Well,
I didn't get too many of those.
not a shocker probably to any of our viewers. I never, ever, ever received a Valentine.
I didn't get too many, yeah.
Ever.
If I was in school with you back in your early days, you wouldn't have gotten a Valentine from me either. I would have brought you a bouquet of roses.
Oh, that's really sweet. But you didn't know me, and our age difference would have not permitted us to be in high school together either.
Let's see here. What are you talking about? I guess that's true.
It's mathematically true. So my daughter, who sits on student council, she was saying, Mom, they're doing Valentine grams for Valentine's Day. And I think you will agree with me. She's an exceptionally beautiful kid. She has not looked awkward at all like I did. Like, I definitely understand why I never got a Valentine gram because I was so hitty. Like, no, I shouldn't be given a gram.
You weren't hitty.
I was like kind of an ugly little Indian girl. It's okay. But
An ugly little Indian girl. Why so self-deprecating?
no, because if we pull up photos,
That's horrible. There's supposed to be there might be little Indian girls watching this right now. And you're saying.
So here's what my message is. You can turn out like this without plastic. Something happens.
So basically your message is you might be hideous and ugly and atrocious looking right now, but it's gonna be okay.
Yes.
Okay.
That's. But my daughter, luckily, knock on wood, has not got the hideous phase at all that I did. And she's like, Mom, I don't expect any grams. And it broke my heart because I was like, I know I didn't get any. Pretty much I know why. I also grew up in a very narrow-minded kind of prejudice and racist. Prejudice environment. I didn't expect boys to be drawn to me.
How ironic is it that you grew up in an environment of prejudice? That's what we call prejudice because there's a bigger story as part of that. A prejudice environment with predominantly Italian Catholic individuals that were horrible to you. And how ironic is it that now you have come full circle and are spending your life with an Italian Catholic boy?
I mean, sometimes he takes out the paddle, but, I've tried to get it on a schedule.
Yeah, but it's because you beg for it.
But I think because of my childhood and growing up feeling rejected, and I didn't want Kieran to at all think it has any merit, because I told her, you may not get a gram, and who knows, you might, because you're much more interesting, involved in your school, and far more beautiful than your mom was. So, you may get a gram, but if you don't feel bad because a lot of times boys are also shy
Mm-hmm.
to communicate with a girl if they really truly do like them.
Yep, absolutely. Or
Or they're
or
just
they might be,
intimidated by her.
or sometimes boys can be mean at that age when they like a girl, they don't know how to act or interact, and therefore default to maybe teasing. Or, being mean, unfortunately.
Yeah, and so for that reason, I think I've always disliked this holiday. And then eventually, when I got older, I ended up not really caring for it, even when I was dating and then engaged and married to my ex. And fast forward, I'm with you, and frankly, I just think it's such a Hallmark holiday because to me, I even put out a cute little like TikTok-y thing of
Sure.
us because I love these like little CapCut things. And I put out a Valentine's trend. And even though I did the trend and it was all about celebrating Valentine's Day, my message was every day should be Valentine's Day because in my perspective, I think if you find someone you love and loves you,
Yep.
you should just be sharing and expressing that love to each other on a daily basis. And it shouldn't be this once a year celebration. And I'm also really against going out to eat, especially in Manhattan on that day.
I was
'Cause the
gonna bring that up.
food is crap and it's overpriced.
It is. It's funny that you mention that. So I've always been indifferent when it comes to Valentine's Day, only because I feel, and granted, it's like technically after a saint, right? Saint Valentine's. I just feel that it's a forced day. And when I was a child, actually, my mother didn't want flowers from us on that day. She's like, save your money. She's like, flowers are priced exponentially higher than they normally would
They
be
are.
for that particular day. So she just thought it was a waste of money because they'd only last for about 6 days. She'd rather just get flowers on a different day when the cost is completely different. Or, a plant, because I come from a family of horticulturists. So procuring flowers and plants was quite easy for us to do as a family.
Well, I'm excited. We finally have some plants.
We do. We have some gorgeous plants, which will grow.
Hopefully.
Hopefully they'll grow. But the sun in our apartments is perfect.
I don't have a green thumb for the life of me, so let's hope they.
At least I do. We have these potted plants that are very easy to maintain because they're self-watering, which is really convenient, versus having to monitor the appropriate amount of water that a plant would need. But at least you're lucky because I used to work with my dad. So I have a green thumb, and technically I'm like borderline horticulturist for the amount of work that I had done in the planting field. And so with Valentine's Day, I agree with you. It's really a day where people are just trying to gouge and make money. The prefix dinners are normally egregiously priced. They're not very good. It's just not worth it. I'd rather just say, hey, let's maybe make some food that evening. Or
Yeah.
let's just, if we don't have the kids, let's just open up a bottle of champagne and be naked.
That's usually your case.
And I'd rather that than
Well,
having to go out. Or what do we do
well,
love to do? It's not on Valentine's Day. We haven't done it on Valentine's Day, I don't think yet.
Champagne Friday.
Well, Champagne Friday. But what is something else we love to do that's technically two people in a room? We do it at Oasis. We do it at
Oh,
other-
massages.
Couples massages.
Yes.
So couples massages are a nice thing to do on Valentine's Day. That's one thing I will say that is nice
Yeah.
to do as a couples massage.
Well, I was going to say this year we actually have both our girls. We have our brown child and white child.
Yes, we do.
And I may have gotten a little fun treat for them because I don't want anything from you for Valentine's Day. I think it's just a waste of money. So don't hope you didn't buy me anything. And I didn't buy you anything. Just managing expectations.
Expectations. That's right.
But the kids
Coming
are
back
cute.
to
But
what
the
you were saying
kids are
earlier
cute.
is that you convey your love to me on a daily basis. So I don't need that all wrapped up into a singular day because I get it 365 days a year.
Yes, you get that, and also the wrath of me. So it's like that sprinkled in between. You get lots of love in different ways. We will have some fun on Valentine's Day this year.
Absolutely, as we always do.
I think people look at Valentine's Day as a couples thing, but when you have kids, it's so cute
Are you gonna
to
dress up
spend
for
time
me?
with them. Yeah, I'm gonna take a shower.
Oh, that's good.
I'm gonna throw on some makeup, and I might
That's
even
good.
throw on some clean clothes.
That's perfect. To me, that's better than anything I can think of because
I don't want to smell like chutney.
you smell gorgeous all the time. You really do. You have a wonderful scent. You have a natural pheromone that attracts me.
Oh,
Talking about attracts me, we were just talking, what was it, like 3 days ago? We have friends that are either newlyweds or there was something we were watching on TV and about the clothing line, the lingerie clothing line that we are starting as well. You and I, we discussed this, that we're the types of individuals where we don't even really need lingerie. Why have lingerie if it's just not going to be worn? Because it's better to wear nothing than wearing lingerie.
Yes, yes. So for you Valentine lovers out there, to each his own.
But on the more PG side, as you said, we do have our children.
If Greg has a PG side.
What are you talking about if I have a PG side? I'm a perfect genius. Hello. It's PG side. I mean, you know this.
Oh my goodness.
Oh Lord. One thing which is nice that the kids have a newfound love of, considering we are in a technologically heavy society, mentality, world right now, what have the kids rediscovered and have a new love of?
Game night. We play board games.
Board games. Traditional board games.
I think it's really cute.
Scrabble,
Monopoly.
Monopoly. Games that are not only just fun family board games, but they're also educational as well.
Yes.
Which is tremendous, playing Scrabble and Monopoly and other games.
That's really awesome, babe. I think it's time for me to make queso because our guests are about to arrive.
I can absolutely go for some of your queso.
Kirti queso.
Kirti queso.
Back